Welcome back to some professional Starcraft 2 from the ASUS ROG Fall Championships. 2 champions head-to-head in a best-of-3. Let's first introduce the underdog, no matter what he wins, the hardest working player, I'm pretty confident to say, in StarCraft 2, the global StarCraft League champion. It is Dragon Phoenix Gaming's Cure. And in the top left, the man who you can't look at too closely and without risking second-hand carpal tunnel, or first-hand, either hand. Averaging 600 actions per minute and so far 1-for-1 on World Championships this year. The Italian Stallion, Reynor. These two have incredibly different, at least stereotypically incredibly different styles. Reynor is all about overwhelming you with speed and agility, and Cure is all about overwhelming you with sheer competence. His Marines might not be as effective as Clem's, and his tactics might not be as multi-pronged as Beyond. But a lot of players to this day, and no matter what he accomplishes, will underestimate Cure because he can't Marine split like he's trained in the arcade map for 16 hours a day. He was too busy winning the ESL Open Cup on all 3 servers. Pokes out. Is that a Marine first? Not even bothering with the silly Reaper plays. Trying to drive the first Overlord back, and it will be stuck on the most exposed pervert pillar on the map. The Marine doesn't quite get the kill, though. But with no Reaper, that means the Zerglings can come across the map. Of course, Cure knows this. Reynor will take his quick 3 base. And, so the danger is that there won't be Hellions for a bit. So 4 Zerglings are more than enough to kill 1 Marine. So I guess the Marine will just die. He does finish the command center. That part's very... Yep, well, that's... Well, it's a hard life for Cure's Marines, I will say. Not that that's particularly... that's more emotional damage than anything. He pops out another Marine in remembrance. Or maybe... Oh, Cure. Not even... He's using... This is his TVP build. A utilitarian player, I will say. This is almost point for point his generic TVP opener. At least in a lot of those online cups. 2 Hellions off a reactored factory. With a Marine first. Into a Widowmine drop. But I mean, Widowmines are... Maybe against Terran. He's doing an armory... This straight up TVP build. You know what Reynor probably won't expect, especially now that the Overlord has no chance of seeing it, is an armory mine drop. Now, unfortunately, for Cure, well, thankfully, the rest was not spotted here. Reynor thinks this is a Bane bust. No, okay, that's not what I meant. He thinks this is Hellbats. And with the armory, it could be Hellbats, as Cure has pulled some genius moves with Hellbats before, like bringing SCVs to repair the medevac, so that way the push isn't entirely terrible. But no. The Baneling Nest isn't going to help much. The Widowmines will already be here. There are Spore Crawlers set up to defend against Liberators, but Cure comes in. Armory Mine Drop. It's not going to do any damage at the front. Okay, well this... Yeah, okay. Not incredible so far. Really hasn't... These are some of the least effective Widowmines. Does he retarget? Okay. Wow. Where did the medevac go? Oh, we lost the medevac. Well, that's... Yeah, that one... Not good. Wow. So Reynor kind of just slapped that down. A grand total of 0 workers killed is not probably the number Cure. Well, don't worry, he's got more where that came from. Drilling claws on the way, though he's building a Hellion. Cure is speed running into Widowmine. I love this. What a curious build. He's going to go mass mine with drilling claws. He's doubling. He's drilling down with this build, trying to make it work. Widowmine hidden behind the command center. And the thing is, Reynor can't kill Cure right now. There's no way. Like, he's not gonna come kill him with Zerglings. It ain't gonna happen. So Cure with 3 CCs. He's not in a terrible spot. It's just, this is typical. For Cure is like, well, it didn't go great, but he wasn't letting his macro slip at home. Cure is one of the people. Cure is not a highlight reel player. He's not going to be on Esports Illustrated or something. But he's like the professor that you know is really smart and has a lot of smart things to say, but his class is at like 8 a.m. So like you're falling asleep half the time and you wake up and realize he's at 170 supply. It's like, how did you get there? Well, maybe you should have been paying attention. The drilling claws. Oh my god, Reynor in a total panic. The second volley does critical damage. 7 drones as well as dozens of lings, and he gets out with a medevac. Reynor blinds. Wake up, Reynor. Wake up. There will be a quiz at the end. What did you expect Cure was gonna do? Go Marines? Well, the Overseer gonna confirm what Reynor should already know by basic deduction. There are tanks and Hellions on the way as well, but that Widowmine drop just undercut a lot of Reynor's efforts. Reynor is someone who will try to make the square peg fit in whatever hole is necessary, which, yeah, sounds terrible, and it can be. What that means is plenty of times against mech, he will go for an incredibly cost and effective composition and rely on sheer speed and brute force in order to... Okay, Kira, what do you do? What? Oh my. 5 HP. 0 hex. There is currently a Widowmine drop of varying strength outside each base. Here comes Kira again, playing Minecraft. Big Minecraft enjoyer. Like, that's how he relaxes after 12 hours of online tournaments. 11 kills! And suddenly Hellion's in the front. Another mine. Is he gonna... tries to dodge it, trying to get a little too fancy. Hellion's at the front. Meanwhile, Cure suddenly is up 20 supply with mech. Should have paid attention in class, Reynor. You were too busy playing Starcraft all night, which I can empathize. Yeah, I did that too. And look where it got me. Commentating these nerds. The Hellion. Brenda! Why is there no creep to the side? Hellion's not great against 20 drone kills. Now, I don't even know. I think there was a mine towards the 3rd. Reynor's still at 85 drones, but this does cost larva that Reynor could put into something that actually punishes Cure for his greed, but in typical Cure manner. Back at home, he's got plenty of... He's going to 8 factories. He's going to have a 2nd armory. He has 75 SCVs. Where's the 4th command center? Landing! The medevacs just like rotate shifts as is customary. Like, gotta make sure there's always a medevac threatening, because Reynor just neglecting anti-air, and the only air is the medevac, so it's hard. He's hard pressed to commit to something like Mutas, but we will see. Cure's going to have the mechanical industrial complex on line here. And with 4 bases, he should have the gas to easily produce off of this. More mines. Is he just going to drop on the... Nope. Just always have a mine drop. Ooh, those Hellions had a... Ooh, ooh, ooh. Oof, owie, my Hellions. Well, my Hellions don't cost any gas, and that's the relevant part. Currently 7 tanks. Reynor's at 92 drones. The problem is, he runs the risk of just not having enough army supply to deal with a well-endowed mech army. And I did not stutter. Right now, with this many tanks, he could produce like 5 tanks, 6 tanks at a time. And watch Kier's money, by the way. I'm just going to go to the Kier action cam. Alright. Kier did wall off his siege tanks. The people's Terran. Who hasn't done that before? Come on. A man of the people. I do that like every single game. So he has to I'm glad he went to the Kier. But another mine drop. Oh, those Hellbats didn't go great. But the production is there. Kier is working on maxing out. Sending out another round of Hellions. He's got 11 tanks. Reynor finally ready, but there are far too many siege tanks operational by the time the Zerg army arrives. A beautiful scan. Sees the commitment. Gonna make sure he has the tanks in position preemptively. And wait a second. That's a little... Yeah, Kier not... Okay, now let's go to the Reynor action cam and see if we can notice a slight difference. Reynor pushing in. Alright, well, one of these guys is the GSL Champion. I'll let you guess. Reynor still building. He's going ultras against a mech Terran with mass tank. He's on defense right now. Kier just holding his ground. A few banelings crashing through, but the tanks raining down. Tutu's just now finishing. Kier already has +3 mech armor on the way. They're both maxed out just about the same time. That means Kier's going to have a little more army supply. He's got 11 tanks. He's got Thors mixed in just in case, and they're just not bad in general. Are there any Vipers? I don't see any Vipers. A bit of a split. The tanks, some of them siege, some of them unsiege so they can maneuver backwards. The Thor's trying to hold their ground. Not going to make it. One Thor going the wrong direction. Reynor get the wraparound. He's going to get a bunch of these Thors. Pretty big mistake out of Kier. He was, whatever this is, he was probably looking at. Kier having a tough time holding on to a critical mass of mech units. Just one Thor in the planetary holding its ground here, but Kier going to be able to outstrip the production. He has, how many factories is that? It's 8 factories. Reynor, though, immediately back to 200 supply with whatever he lost in this fight. The planetary is almost obsolete against this many Ravagers. Almost. He does get it with the last volley. Kier moving up with another army. I would recommend, if I was to make a recommendation, maybe sieging a tank or 2. But he seems to be doing just fine. Kier continuing tank production. +3 mech armor is about to finish, which is actually pretty ridiculous. And Ultralist shows up to the party. A new challenger approaches. A lot of unsieged tanks here, just micros away. Kier really going with the unsieged tank strike. Maybe he hasn't researched siege mode. Queen's getting involved. I guess unsieged tanks are probably better against ultras, especially if there aren't the Zerglings. Like, the single target DPS is better than siege tanks. But Reynor does seem to be doing the classic Reynor strat of quantity over quality. Just unloading. Oh, speaking of, yeah, that was a little late. The Queen! Oh, Susan. Kier will hold. But at what cost? He's lost 25 tanks. He's lost 2,000 more gas. He's gotten a little forward. Ooh. He's got a little forward with his mech army. And Reynor now has the map. He's got Vipers. Blinding Cloud looking real good here. Half the tanks can't fire. The Zerglings wrapping around the rest. Reynor bringing the hammer down. The tank count is just too damn low. And what looked like a solid macro match for Cure just kind of crumbles on that first fumbled assault. Reynor will overrun Cure in game 1. It was looking so good, too. Cure just a little too ambitious with the tank army. That is about the opposite of Bronze League Heroes. In Bronze League Heroes, everyone knows tanks can't shoot unless they're sieged up. Okay? That's a science fact. Okay. If you want more facts, make sure to subscribe to this channel and check out those videos over on the right side now. The recommended. Those are the ones. I mean, you could go to, like, the playlist, but nobody does that over there. But not yet, because this is a best of 3. Just remember. Open up in another tab, okay? Multitask. We'll see if Kira can keep up. Speaking of. Game 2 is on Lightshade. Kira kind of wielding his Terran versus Protoss mind style, and honestly, it was going fine. Until he moved out. The Widowmine drops were finding damage, the Hellions were keeping Reynor busy, but Cure bit off a little bit more than he could chew. And Reynor just overran him. Overran. That's the right one. I don't think we'll see mech again. I did like to see it. It looked real good, too. But Reynor is not going to let you make mistakes. I think we'll see something a little more typical out of Cure here on Lightshade. This map, well explored for tank pushes, like marine tank pushes, especially leveraging this high ground area. Most Zergs will expand to this third, which always a little confuses me because it feels like drops and tank pushes will then be potentially hitting your main base. I get it that the third base on the low ground, you got a lot of open space to work with, but that high ground by the rocks is always a sticking point. So we'll see which way Reynor goes with it. Huh. Is he hiding this from an overlord? Or like... Is he... I'm wondering the little details here. I'd love to know. I mean... Usually an overlord will poke in just enough. He hasn't gone Reaper either game so far. Alright, building Marines out of a reactor. Could this be a Hellbat push? Like, the SCV repair push? He hasn't started an armor. He does have the gas for one. Of course, he probably needs the gas also for a medevac if he was to do that. Meanwhile, Reynor expanding to the low ground, getting speed, the usual. It is a medevac. I mean, Hellions and a Marine drop are not the most rare thing. Cure is going to reveal the Marines in order to stop the Overlord from seeing anything else. Those Marines are a tell in and of themselves. There's a Widowmine on the way. Curious. Not sure exactly which direction we're going with this. The trajectory is pretty clear, but the actual details. Alright. He picks up the mine and the Marines. He's comfortable with the mines. That much is very clear. Like, he likes mine drops. Hellions? Mine drops, though? A favorite. He's managed to avoid overlords until now. He hides the mine. Conspicuously, only 6 Marines pop out. So I wonder if Reynor taking note of that. We got 2 more racks on the way. Going to be a 3 racks follow-up into a tank push. Kind of like the way he's going about it here. Reynor has a lair started. We'll probably see a Baneling nest in production momentarily. And with it, Baneling speed going to be at a premium to try to stop any follow-up pushes. As obviously this isn't supposed to be a game-ending move. Gonna box out the mine. Where you going? Just hanging out. Well, dropping the Widow Mine down. Gotta be a little careful with the medevac. He drags the mine in. Yeah, this has not gone great. Well, Reynor going for the double Bane Nest strat. That's how important Bane Nests are, okay? You always gotta have a decoy. We'll see if he notices. Not that it's a huge amount of resources, but it does kind of highlight how important it is that Reynor was repeatedly thinking about it. He does cancel and starts speed on the original. Main speed, that is. Cure. He's got +1 on the way. Stim finishing up. Couple tanks done and 2 medevacs coming out to join the first. He's kept the Marines alive. So with 3 medevacs and a solid Stim tank push from that high ground. Pick up your phones. I called it. Not that it was a particularly difficult call to make, as this is like almost 50% of Terran versus Zergs on this map, at least at some point, have this a major factor. Cure. Bane speed isn't done. Right now it's just the Queens. Brenda and her knitting crew gotta keep it together. The Marines in a good spot. Bane speed still 20 seconds out. The Marines do not have +1 nor combat shield, but without Bane speed, it's not nearly as dangerous. Zergling's looking for the wraparound. Reynor manages to drag it back. A lot of Bane's down. Cure will have to pick up for now. The danger has been diffused for the moment. +1 finishing, but so is Baneling speed. That gives also +5 HP, let alone the speed itself. Reynor holds on. A bit of a dangerous push, but not deadly. Well, here comes another round. There is no 3rd command center for Cure. There are no additional racks. It's becoming all in, though Reynor doesn't have a huge amount of units. Or drones, in this case. The tanks, Cure a really big fan of not sieging his tanks, which is kind of a weird thing to be a fan of. Ooh. Oh, there's the target fire, finds the shots, and the Marines still get kind of overrun. Okay, well, you're not as quick with the target fire as he might like. Reynor takes the opportunity and runs them down. Oh. Okay. You see, this will really scare Reynor. Little does he know, only half of those medevacs are full. Oh, 1 Baneling. Where did he... No, not today! The Baneling rolls back. Oh, the Queen. Whoa, okay, alright. Reynor, one of the prominent members of the #YasQueens movement. The movement progressing slowly, but progressing. Cure, loading up some medevacs. He's actually going to fly right over. This is a bit awkward. Wings and Banes, fully aware of the situation. Nothing they can really directly do about it at the moment. Cure has added on racks 4 and 5, as well as the 3rd command center. The drops on the left side. Still, like, as long as he's on top of picking back up into the medevacs, only the Queens really provide anti-air. Cure dropping out in a good spot on the 4th. Banelings. Whoop, whoop, ah. Cure keeping up on it. There's nothing to stop the drops right now. He can zone them out, but he's pinning so many units at the back that Reynor doesn't really have that much counterattack potential. The double drops on either side. Oh my god, he has 17 queens! He's got a queen for every year old. And 112 Zerglings. Well, we know what Reynor likes. My god. The Medivacs will boost away. Taking some hits from the Spore, but gonna make it out for now. Cure is kind of pulling everything back in as he approaches his 2-2. Reynor actually so far behind on upgrades. His +1 melee attack is only halfway done. His +2 carapace is a bit more even, but considering he didn't really go, well, he's kind of rushing Hive, but it's not even that quick. We're over 10.5 minutes. I would say a quick Hive would be pre-10 minutes started at least. So right now, despite the full... I don't know what's going on here. Some sort of convention. He's trying to wall off with creep tumors, which is not incredibly effective. But it does slow down somewhat noticeably the army. A double siege push from Cure. Recognizing the value of queens, and who doesn't? But the Liberators, while queens can technically deal with a massive counterattack, though. Alright, how much will get done here? Cure able to retreat. Whoa, those SCVs having a tough time. But the Marines have 2-2. The tank doing a lot of damage. Cure's gonna clean up the counter. And the main siege. Hive isn't even that useful. Like, when the Hive finishes, even with adrenal glands, this push is solid. There are a lot of strong units that Reynor can't easily deal with. Of course, he's going to go for the counterattack again, try to at least stop Cure from reinforcing. Cure methodically, stims everything. Here comes Reynor from both sides. He's wrapping around the Marines. Oh no! Disaster! Massive baneling hits. Cure loses almost everything. The queens keeping each other intact, sewing it back together. Reynor just collapsing onto Cure, and Cure crumbles in an acidic explosion. Oh no! A disastrous engagement. But, undeterred, he still has the Medivacs. He still has a decent Marine count. And I do have to point out that despite losing the battle, Cure is not out of the war quite yet. He's got 2-2 Marines. Reynor is only at 1-2. Reynor finished a Hive, but he hasn't started any upgrades. He hasn't gotten any Hive tech, and he's only at 68 workers. So he does have an income advantage, and he should be leveraging that. But as time goes on, the Lings and Banes are not necessarily the winning move. There are some Bane mines strewn throughout, but he can't just walk across with the poorly upgraded Ling Bane and claim victory. Not right this moment, at least. He needs to shore up his economy. And Cure still pumping out the Marines. It's not about how many men you lose. It's about how many you have to replace them. Cure understands this. He has had to replace many in his time. Many Marines. Wait, fourth? Wait, no, that's his main. Relatively rare. We get to see this nowadays, but the main command center stopped by one very cute Zergling that's kind of flexing on it. Do it. Okay, so yeah, Baneling Mine's not incredibly... It was like 6 Marines, but it did seem very dramatic. Meanwhile, Reynor. Cure splits pretty well. The attack upgrades aren't there. The Venn diagram of freedom. Laying down liberation on the 4th. Cure still taking cost-effective engagements. His economy is still intact, if tenuous. He's getting +3 Marine armor, and I don't know if that's because he didn't have enough money for the weapons, but actually, that's such a Cure thing to do, is prioritize armor over attack upgrades. Some of you may die, but you need to take a few more hits in the process. He also did it with his mech army. He prioritized the armor over the attack upgrades. So, here is Cure once again. He's nearing a max out. Reynor is still on +1, +2. With the +3 armor, these Marines and Marauders are going to take a bit of a beating, even from the Banelings before they go down. Well, Cure does get beaten back again. A bloody battle. Finally, Viper's on the way. 441 Zerglings have died in the making of this increasingly messy massacre. Cure finishes +3 armor. Scanning to clear up his main command center to land on a 4th base mining location. And also, just kind of generally on the left. Reynor's kind of solidifying his position. The Queen Battalion has recreeped 19 Queens! Well, Brenda, call everyone! Even them? Even them. But we haven't spoken to them since the accident. We need everyone. Alright, well, how many Queens does it take to kill 2 Liberators with, well, no upgrades really on either side besides the Queen armor, so... Another huge counterattack! The Viper is just kind of looking for something to do, but instead moved the tank into range to shell the Banelings. The Orbital just straight up dies to Banelings. There's a huge Cure counter, though. He's gonna be able to kill the 3rd base and a bunch of drones. Meanwhile, all the SCVs will die as well. It's a mess out here. Cure's gonna get 2 bases. Another attack. The Queens hold the line. Where are the Lings and Banes? So many SCVs have died. He's down to 28, but he actually stabilizes. Reynor. Wait. Oh my god. You guys! Guys! Ah! Where are you going? Oh, hello. Ah! Oh, the Vipers, no! The Marines! One medevac goes down. And despite the amount of damage Reynor has dealt, Cure with a mildly surgical strike in the general vicinity of Reynor's economy, it's still... Wow, that's an income graph. But Lings and Banes with 2 less upgrades against Marines, Marauders, and medevacs. And of course, tanks and Liberators don't hurt either. Especially when it comes to defending your bases against melee units. The upgrades for Cure. Now, last game, the upgrades for Cure, the macro for Cure, everything was looking pretty good right up until he just kind of died. So, and this time Reynor has a significant supply lead, but not an army supply. That is in workers. The Queens at some point are going to have to fight a straight-up engagement. Reynor is building up to a massive flank, both sides, everything on the table here. Blinding Cloud, Lings and Banes, everything explodes! Who will be left? The medevacs untouched! The Queen's trying to hold the line! The Marauders refuse to die! Reinforcements have arrived! And Cure is the one who will be taking home Match 2. Lings and Banes do not cut it. It's not enough. Reynor. Well, I'm sure Reynor understands that. Just sometimes you get down that road and it's hard to deviate. Cure holds. And suddenly, we're on match point. Not so suddenly. It wasn't very sudden. It was actually a very drawn-out and complicated process. But eventually, yada yada, we're match point. And Jimmy says time for Okay, a quick advertising break. Thank you guys for watching. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. Hey everybody, I'm Winter. And did you know that if you like and subscribe, then YouTube will know that you're a real person who exists? Yes. Giving YouTube all your data is the best thing you can do to support the content creators you love. You might be like, Winter, but if someone got a hold of my Google account, they would literally own my life. Well, let me in on a piece of that by ringing that bell. And very importantly, this is what we're doing now. According to Jimmy, this is very important. When this video ends, you look over that. Who knows when? All right, don't spoil it. Don't spoil it. But you look over there, or down there, and you click those recommended videos. No, not that one. Yes, the one WinterStarcraft is what it usually says. And then you can watch more great games for the fan. And let me ask you, is there anything greater than watching such a demonstration between these two top players? Is there anything better in life? If there is, I don't want to know. Please don't say anything. Otherwise, thank you for watching. Good luck. And good night. Thank you guys for sticking around. I know ads, loud, annoying. But we got to thank our sponsors for supporting us. Thank you. That's you. Yeah. Oh, we're in the game. Well, then go to the game. Bottom right of Blackburn, we have Reynor. And of course, in the bottom left is Cure, proving macro over micro. I gotta say, I kind of felt like game one should have ended the same way. Cure continually showing that macro is just as, if not more important than micro. Because he lost so many battles, but he still won the war. Thing is, game one, with mech units, it's harder to rebuild that critical mass. With Marines, like, having 2 Marines or 3 Marines is not a significant increase compared to 1 Marine, for example. But with tanks, having 3 tanks is very much more important than having 1 tank. That is just how math works, alright?
The numbers don't lie! And they spell disaster for you.
So when Cure lost a dozen tanks, it becomes very hard to get that momentum going again. So I do appreciate, like, we talk about Clem's Reaper, Beyond's Reaper, Maru's Reapers. Cure, Reactor First Marines. Okay. He puts his Marines out 2 at a time like any other man. None of this silly micro play. It looks like Reynor, I didn't even point this out, but Reynor with a pool first. Now, so the issue with going reactor first is you have no scouting, and you're not going to have enough Marines to stop 6 Zerglings. So this shouldn't end the game, but uh-oh. No, it's not great. Well, okay. We've got that SCV having a rough day. Another SCV coming up. 2 more Marines. Will Cure get out of this with no losses? I mean, his command center will be delayed. Wow. A perfect hold. Cool under pressure. I mean, 6 Zerglings, especially without speed, are not going to end the game. What are you doing? What is this? What is this madness? So he's going 3 Rex. He keeps breaking out like this. This is a Wings of Liberty build against Zerg. Back in the day in Wings of Liberty, let me take you on a history lesson, all right? More than half of Reynor's life ago, StarCraft 2 was released. And everyone sucked. And if you think there were some great games back in Wings of Liberty, go back and rewatch those games if you can find them in 360p. Because everyone was terrible. A legitimate strategy in Wings of Liberty for several years was make a bunch of Marines stim and try to run up a ramp. And that was it. That was the whole strat. This was a pro gamer strat. And a lot of the time, especially Protoss with sentries, would just miss the force field. Zergs just wouldn't have creep. So their queens couldn't do anything, and also queens kind of sucked. Like, this was a pretty regular and legitimate strategy that beat a lot of top players. Nowadays, for many reasons, it is less popular. Though it still has a place as kind of like that off-meta build. Just hitting with that many units so quickly can sometimes catch players off guard. The problem is, players are incredibly experienced at dealing with big balls of Marines and Marauders. In this case, just Marines. So, right now, this is essentially a cheese. The difference between a cheese and an all-in? A cheese loses the majority of its effectiveness if scouted early. An all-in still loses effectiveness, but probably not more than 50%. This is, oh my god, he has so many Marines. If there were Banelings, Kir is screwed. If there's enough Zerglings and Queens, Kir is screwed. But Reynor did not see this coming, so Kir is the screwer. Don't say that again. He is the antidote. Well, so this game relies on Kir's Marine Micro, which is a dangerous bet. Alright, the Queens. The Queens are taking some big hits. It looks like the counter is Queens and Zerglings. And Kir will just go back home with half the Marines and less than half the Marine HP he started with. So that wasn't great. Now there will be some Banelings. The Queens don't have that much energy here. There's not +1. Combat shields is a big deal. But, like, yeah, I see Kir do this in, like, every matchup. At, like, once a series, he does just a bio build. And rarely does it seem to work out for him. I think it's him being like, well, maybe this time. You gotta give it a shot, right? Like, one of these times. Now there are 2 medevacs and a tank with them. That's gonna make things a little more difficult for Reynor, but Reynor's been preparing for a push for almost half the game now. Bane speed is still a while off the Queen count. The Knitting Crew at 10. The Queens just whittle the Marine count down. Reynor trying to hold until Bane speed. Also, Reynor wrapping around. Well, he's looking for a counterattack, but Kir doesn't even have a third. So, at some point, we may just end up with a straight-up flank here. Kir brings in the reinforcements. +1 infantry weapons, but also Bane speed finishing. That's a lot of Queens. If there was a time to go, it would be now. Reynor agrees. Bane's stuck behind the vanguard of Queens. Bane's crashing through the front. One more Bane. He gets it. Oh, well, there's no more tanks, though. So, the Queens hold. Reynor will hold. Kir's down to barely more Marines than he has medevacs. It looks like Kir's going to follow up by doing essentially the same thing again. And maybe this time, Reynor will screw it up. A lot more units on the way across. The army supplies are about even. He will be maintaining an upgrade advantage for at least a minute yet. There's some liberators on the way, which can... No, you want to... Okay. Alright, he's going for the main. With a tank on the low ground. A bold play. Wow, this is straight up Wings of Liberty now. Tank push from the low ground onto the high ground ledge in the main. Alright. Move aside, Shakura's Plateau. Okay. Well, we'll see. Like, there's a lot of Marines, but that is Soyuz 15 Queens! Here comes some Liberators as the battle is escalating. Reynor is now ransacking the natural. 10 SCVs down. This is a lot of cures. Oh, there it goes. That's a big deal. +1 armor gone. He gets the engineering bay. Third command center's finishing. Will Reynor be able to dislodge this? The queens are the... He has a lot of... Brenda! Did you call everyone again? Yes. Yes. Get used to it. It keeps... We don't build spires anymore. Inspire yourself, Susan. So here's Cure. Gonna add some more units. Reynor gonna do a huge counterattack. A whole lot here. It might actually break up the ramp. We'll see. Yeah, that's a lot of the SCVs. But at the same... Oh, the Queens attack the hatch for a sec. Cure pulling back. 15 SCVs. It's a bit of a mess. As the professionals say, quite a scrappy match out here. As they just punch each other in the face repeatedly. There's so many. But this is a ridiculously tough position to dislodge. Reynor doesn't really need this base, but he'd like to have it. Yeah, reinforcements aren't going to be getting through here. The hatchery is becoming a bit of an issue. There's really nothing else in production upgrade-wise. There's not even that many Marines here. It looks like it's time to go on the low ground as well. You're picking up... Well, it's a mess. Wait, okay. Yeah, it looks good for Reynor, but... No, I'm pretty sure that was good, but it's hard to tell. No, there's no more tanks or liberators, which means we're down to just Marines and medevacs. He's got 9 medevacs. Couple tanks making their way up. He's on creep. He's been dropping a lot of mules just to try to keep it together. It's pretty obvious there's a counterattack of some kind here. Ooh, actually, Kira intercepting a lot of Zerglings. The army supply is 83 to 60. But Reynor's about to have an upgrade advantage with Zerglings. I think killing that engineering bay with +1 armor is going to end up being a massive deal here. Uh-oh. No, Cure. Oh my god. Stressing me out. The last second pickup. Half of Cure's army is in medevacs half the time now. Reynor he's going on 5 bases. Like, he doesn't have that much of an income advantage because mules are amazing. +1 attack about to finish, and that's going to be bad news bears for the Marines that don't have medevacs immediately behind them. Reynor looking for the flank. Cure still looking to make things happen here. He's holding the line. So he hasn't dealt with much of the creep yet. He's finally getting a scan off. Oh no. Oh, run away! Ah! Every man for themselves! Meanwhile, though, the Marines are moving forward. The queen count has been whittled down significantly. Cure, forward or back? You gotta make a decision. Oh my. He's gonna... Okay. Well, the Marines are not really splitting. Ooh, there are not many survivors. That evens up the army supply. There's still a lot of medevacs, but that may have been it. That may have been enough to just keep momentum permanently in Reynor's favor now. The Kira will not be taking a third. Not really. The lack of upgrades, once again, going to eventually win the war of attrition. The SCVs are like, oh god, just do it. Just, not again. He's down to one more SCV than he started with, is Kier. The army supply is still close to even, but it's becoming desperate for the GSL Champion. He has the same stuff he's had for most of the game, but less of it with worse upgrades, relatively. He finds another angle, but there goes the natural. He's going to be down to like 6 SCVs here, which is not like a particularly great number. Kind of a nasty wall off there with the minerals. Oh, but oh, come back here! Get off my lawn! Only one tank. Here's got 51 Marines, a tank, 8 medevacs, and 8 SCVs. Well, good luck. Uh-oh. Reynor just rolls through. A tough match for Cure, but the real true micro versus macro play. Reynor actually, well, comes out on top with the macro this time around. A tough one. A fun one. But Reynor will take this best of 3. So, I hope you enjoyed that experience. Leave a comment, ring the bell, like, subscribe. Hopefully you enjoy those videos, these nuggets of knowledge, and so much more. What do you think? Thank you to ASUS, and thank you for watching. Good luck, have fun. See you next time. Stay tuned.